Don't really remember a whole lot except the little blue pills that they gave me every night that tasted like garbage and absolute terror.
Michelle, welcome back. Thanks for coming back on.
Ew.
Um, so we've talked about your carnivore journey before. But today we wanted to focus a little bit more on the mental health aspects of carnivore, how that brought you towards carnivore, and what's happened in since you've been carnivore. So, how are things going?
I guess I could start back where it kind of all started, um, and the journey towards finding carnivore, um, and we can go from there. Uh, so, my journey towards finding carnivore sort of unknowingly began over 30 years ago. Um, I'm currently 34 years old right now. I was born into a pretty messed up family system, to say the least. I dealt with a whole lot of significant childhood trauma that extended into my teen years and that extended into adulthood. I honestly felt like I was living in a constant state of survival mode. Uh, Always felt like I was hanging on by a thread. Um, Years ago, in a desperate attempt to free myself from what I was experiencing, I intentionally gained a massive amount of weight. At my heaviest, I was 412 pounds. Um, Doing this was not successful at the time in scaring unwanted people away like I had hoped. Um, Instead, I successfully obtained type 2 diabetes and hypertension, and I opened myself up to another avenue of horrific mental trauma through, judgments and comments from other people in regards to my weight. My self-esteem and my self-confidence, even though it was already destroyed, they rapidly plummeted even further. Um, I got to a point where I hated myself. I thought I was the most disgusting human on the planet, and the combination of, life's traumas and the judgments from other people and myself, I think that all led to a lot of psychiatric hurdles. Um, I battled chronic and debilitating thoughts about, I just wanted the pain to stop. Like, I'd, I'd had enough. Uh, hopelessness, hopelessness is a very powerful thing. The grips of it are very strong. I couldn't see anything beyond what was right in front of me, and what was right in front of me was hell. Um, it, I knew in the back of my mind, I always knew I wanted to eventually help other people who were in similar situations, the people that have been silenced. I always had a passion and desire to be able to help them find their voice. And so I often told myself that if I wasn't going to try to hold on for myself any longer, then I would try to hold on for these other people. And finally, one day I decided to just walk into the hospital to try and get help. And that experience in itself was very mentally taxing. Um, but when I when I go to public speaking events or advocacy events, I'm one of the main questions I always get is to describe about the journey to finding help. So what it was like to walk into a hospital to find help for mental health. And I always think about that first time. And if you're following the Facebook page, you would have read about this already. I had posted similar, but my first memory of walking into a hospital for the sake of mental health was being told to give up my shoes. And I remember looking at the hospital staff, very confused. I was already in a heightened state of anxiety and whatever uh, I was feeling at the time. The staff repeated the request to give up my shoes, and in return, I was given a pair of grippy socks. And after that, I was told to change my clothes, take off all accessories, put them in a bag that was labeled with a sticker similar to what was on my hospital band. And then I was given a set of blue paper-like clothes that looked more like a cross between surgical scrubs and pajamas. I was told I was staying for a 72-hour assessment. Over those 3 days, I actually don't really remember a whole lot except the little blue pills that they gave me every night that tasted like garbage and absolute terror. Words, "What have I done?" were endlessly playing in my mind. I was given a psychiatrist who decided that after 72 hours, I was going to be admitted to inpatient. Well, wasn't that an experience? I spent the first night on the unit in a tiny corner office at the end of the hallway. I was sobbing to the point where my head was pounding and I was literally vibrating with anxiety because I was terrified of people and I absolutely refused to share a room with other patients. And I stayed there all night. And in the morning, after much protest, and I promised to monitor from a family member who I personally couldn't trust as far as I could throw them. I was released and able to leave with a slew of prescriptions, outpatient appointments, and a promise to seek help in the community. So I left the hospital. I felt like I was straddling a line. And on one side, I was someone who could be trusted with shoelaces, and on the other side, I was not. And over time, I had several diagnoses put on, taken off, more put on, taken off. Went through dozens of medications, some pretty hefty ones. I spent a couple years and countless hours in outpatient programs, like the classic DBT, CBT, life skills programs, you name it. I did spend months worth of time in different crisis stabilization beds. Um, Many, 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 many moments of desperation. And my main struggles were, uh, severe anxiety, incredibly deep depression, hopelessness, complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And honestly, I felt like I was exhausting all options. Um, Absolutely nothing was helping, no matter how hard I was trying to fight, all while still dealing with what was going on the outside. But nothing was helping at all. So, in a last-ditch effort, I agreed to try doing ECT treatments. Um, I did these for just over a year, which I understand is a long time for ECT treatments. Um, and I did experience quite a bit of relief, but for me, it just wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to maintain balanced, stable mental health state. Um,
Can I just jump in to ask?
yeah, of
So
course.
when you get relief from ECT, is it? I'm just trying to understand how it would work. Is it more like a distractive relief?
I 100% sure. I could be wrong here, but I think it works. It's like everyone's different, right? So I don't I don't really know how everybody feels whatever relief they're looking for. And the hopelessness, the severe depression. Um, from my understanding, the electrical currents kind of rewire the brain. Um, and a lot of people experience relief of their depressive symptoms.
Thank you.
Hopefully, I explained that properly. But yeah, so in the last ditch effort, I agreed to trying these treatments. Um, but it didn't work as well as I had hoped. I was getting fed up with trying, and I often told myself that if this didn't work, I was done. Like, that was it. Now, through this time, I had met a lot of different people. Between the waiting rooms filled with patients and their support people and the hospital staff, I crossed paths with lots of people. And as I have shared in the other videos that we've done, I met one person in particular through all of this who is the answer to how I found Carnivore. And she's also the answer to why I'm still sitting here today. Um, like I said, I was fed up. I was really tired of fighting. But back in May, she herself took a leap and approached me with just one more opportunity. And at first, as I've said before, I thought she was just alluding to the fact that I needed to lose weight, which I already knew that. So, in the brief brain flash, I didn't know how to respond, but actually, she was introducing me to the concept that nutrition plays a vital role in mental health, which I had never heard of up to that point. Like, no doctor, nothing has ever, asked me, what's your diet like when I sit down at their desk? And my last video with you, I was still on a few psych medications. Um, since then, uh, I'm completely off all of my psych meds. And last month, I was officially discharged from psychiatry altogether. And So the carnivore diet gave me my shoes back, which is great. Um, it felt like some kind of graduation, you know? Graduations are a bridge between your past and your future. They signify the end of one chapter, the chains of mental health, and the beginning of another, which freedom for the future, and hope. And yeah, I mean, I've talked a lot here about the mental health aspect, but it's something I'm very passionate about, and it's the reason for me starting this diet to begin with. And I fully 1,000% believe in the power of the carnivore diet and its ability to drastically improve mental health struggles, which means there is significant hope in saving many other lives. And I think that's amazing. Um, in terms of the physical side of things, uh, just like we last spoke, I'm still off of all diabetic medications. I My A1C is still in good standing. The blood sugars are still good. I have officially reversed type 2 diabetes, um, which my doctor often tells me I'm the first of her patients to ever reversed type 2 diabetes. Um, I'm still off of all blood pressure medications, and my blood pressure is still good, still stable. Now, the weight is coming down very slowly, and I I realize that's probably my own fault. And I'm gonna go out on a limb here and make myself disturbingly vulnerable. Um, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I have been incredibly strict carnivore. I've not been perfect, and I'm not gonna give myself a shiny gold star. Um, because lately I have had a few setbacks. And I have had some cheat days. I recently started back into school full time. I also hold a job to pay for school, and I also just moved into this place a couple days ago. So I haven't been top notch in following properly. And also, I've struggled with alcoholism since I was 13. Okay. And I quit on my own shortly after starting the carnivore diet. After 118 days, I broke and started with the drinking again. Then I stopped for a couple of weeks, and then life stresses popped up, and I was not strong enough to fight it, and I went back to the alcohol, and now I've stopped again. Um, Hopefully, will remain that way. But I'm not going to tell you I'm amazing and it will work. Um, However, it's not it's not something I'm proud of, and I feel like I said I feel very vulnerable right now. My hands are probably dripping sweat. Some kind of shame in admitting it here to the public on YouTube, because I know people come to these videos for support and guidance, and I don't know, like, if I can offer them that in this one, but I just want to be realistic and honest, and everybody's journey is it looks different. We're not all made from the same mold, and it's really really easy to beat yourself up for falling off. I am super good at that, and but I believe that what's important is that you jump back on. Um, Again, I am preaching to the choir 100% here. It doesn't do any good to put yourself down if you fall short. The wonderful thing about carnivore diet is that you can just pick back up, continue on the journey. You know, the doors to physical health and mental health, they don't lock, so you can still open them and walk through and move forward. And I think going forward, my goals are going to be, as of a couple days ago, get back into strict carnivore for at least 30 days and then assess myself and go forward. Work on the rest of the weight loss, however slow that's probably going to be at this point. um, Avoid cheating and alcohol, however, also offer myself forgiveness if I slip. Um, Goals to maintain a good mental health status and maintain the good physical health, keep moving forward, and really to do what I can to help other people in their journey as well, whatever that might look like.
Yeah. Um, it's quite a journey
Yes.
that you've been on. How how have your doctor reacted with saying you're the first person she's seen that's reverse type 2 diabetes? Like, how was the psychiatrist about the turnaround in you?
So the psychiatrist was a man of few words. When I went for my, sorry, I'll back up a bit. When I first went in to say that I was done the ECT treatments, I wanted to lower medications. He was kind of hesitant, but I was, I kind of stood up for myself and I was like, no, I really feel like this is what I want and what I need. So we lowered it and then I finished off the ECT treatments and then I went back in and I lowered it to be done. And when I went in there, I brought him a copy of Dr. Georgia Eads' book, Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. And I took it into him, and as I was leaving, I was like, hey, I just wanted to give you a gift as a thank you for all that you've done, but this, you know, and he was kind of flipping through it. He looked through the author stuff, and he was pretty amazed about it being like a Harvard or whatever psychiatrist, and he was like, "You changed your mental health by diet, what you eat." And I was like, "Yeah." And then I said in there it talks about, the effects it's had on people with bipolar disorder and all that, and all these success stories. And, he showed interest and he was like, "I'm going to read this." And I was like, "Okay, you read this." So he was pretty amazed at just the fact, like, it still gives me goosebumps. Like, he was amazed at just the fact or the concept that food can fix mental health. Um, so I don't see him anymore. I don't know where that's gonna go, but hopefully, that will do some good. And in terms of my doctor, she started her own carnivore journey. Um, mid-August, I think. I haven't got like an actual update, but she's very interested in the concept of um, food helping people more than medications and stuff. But I do know that, we often talk about how government guidelines, how they're obligated to provide medication as treatments, and how, they are basically given the words to say, and most people opt the medication route. And she had mentioned, because she's a doctor, people take her words at face value, but when she's not given the opportunity to provide her personal opinion versus what the training and the guidelines tell her, she finds it very difficult, obviously. But she's been incredibly interested in this way of viewing healthcare, and so I think that's really cool, and it will be really cool to see where it goes for her.
Yeah. Nice. So, could you talk about how did your eating with carnivore develop from when you were finishing up with ECT up to now?
Yeah, when I'm not cheating, um, I stick to pretty much stick to like a typical carnivore: meat, eggs, butter, a lot of eggs, as I say in every video. I can't believe the amount of eggs that I've eaten. Um, Same with the butter. Can't believe the amount of butter I've gone through. Um, Now there were times where I kind of introduced, or like some days I would go more keto if I was really feeling like I needed to go out to a fast food joint or something. I would throw in, say, cauliflower, um, for something different to try and uh, mix it up a little bit. Um, However, I feel the best with carnivore, um, and so I've kind of just been sticking to the basics. Again, when I'm not falling off the wagon. I've been doing a lot of bone broth lately. I learned how to do it in a pressure cooker, which is fantastic. Um, so I try and use that. Um, I did one day, or I guess it was a couple days worth. I tried to do just, 24 hours of water and electrolytes, and then 24 hours of just eggs. I only did that once. Got tough near the end, unless I figure out the timing differently. But um, I kind of just play around still. I would love to be able to be like hardcore strict, but it's a work in progress.
And like you say, you need to be kind to yourself, right? Because the more you beat yourself up about things, the more likely it is you're actually not going to get back on carnivore, right?
Yeah, and it's a slippery slope too, so you gotta really be careful. Um, the whole, oh, this morning I had, I don't know, sugar in my coffee, so I've already ruined the whole day, so I may as well go out and do whatever I want. And then the next day, I already feel like garbage, so I may as well go do what I want. It's a slippery, and then after that, you get like the cravings build back up that you have to fight, and those are hard to fight, like, you know. And so, yeah, it's a slippery slope, but
Mm,
you have to be kind to yourself. You've only got yourself at the end of the day, so
yeah, exactly. So, how's the book going?
it's going great. It The entire thing has been put through editing. It's now The last part is in editing. I should be receiving it back October 18th, I think, or roughly around there. And then it's I've already done the book covers and stuff, and so it's kind of just searching for publishing. Um, so I'm excited about it. It's been a huge undertaking, and hopefully sooner rather than later it will be a thing, and then I've got plans for two others in the series to get going on. So yeah, yeah.
Nice. So, how can people find out more about it?
So I have a Facebook group right now. It's called Duck Feet, which is the name of the book. I try to post updates on there as much as I can in terms of where things are at, and then I also try to engage the people on there with positive posts, motivational type stuff, stuff I wish I knew or heard way back when, just try to make it a positive environment. But that's really where probably the best spot to get any updates related to duck feet.
Awesome. So I'll link to it below. Michelle, thank you so much for coming back on and letting us know more about your journey. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on.
No problem, anytime.